25 or 624. That is Chicago on Max Inc. Radio. We are local music. Rocker, Chicago is just to the south of us. It's not really part of our local music scene, but maybe tonight it is close enough, right?
Chicago is a city, Jimmy, but it's also a band. Chicago has been one of the most important bands since the dawn of rock and roll. Forming in 1967, the band has released nearly 40 albums, countless Billboard hits, and Grammy Awards. And Jimmy, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Chicago is coming through Wisconsin for 2 shows, May 9th at the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee and May 10th at the La Crosse Center. Having released their 38th studio album, Born for This Moment, in 2022, but every band starts out as a local band, and on the phone with us right now to tell us about the band is founding member, songwriter, and keyboardist for the band Chicago, is Robert Lamm. Robert, welcome to Max Inc. Radio.
It's great to hear you, man. It's great to hear you, Rocker, and good to speak with you.
Thanks, and Robert, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to chat with us. But before we talk about your latest album and upcoming tour, tell us a little backstory on what it was like playing in the local band Chicago. Maybe back in the old Chicago Transit Authority days, what was it like creating a new band with a fresh, unique sound?
Well, you know, we were all very young. And we were all really into making new music, really trying to create something fresh, something, you know, that we could actually learn as we were doing. And, you know, I just, it was amazing that the original lineup of the band, we were all equally energetic and curious about music. And that's really what drives this band. We are constantly searching and trying new things, and that's what Chicago, the band, is about.
Now, did the young band Chicago play any of the clubs up in Wisconsin? I know that oftentimes Illinois bands come up through Wisconsin. Have you been in Madison or Milwaukee?
Oh, yeah.
Any good memories of those?
Actually, in Milwaukee, we played a club there that there were actually 2 clubs that were across the street from each other in Milwaukee, and the one that we played at, it was a larger club, and they also had, very often they had sort of headliner, like I remember opening the sets with for the Everly Brothers, who were still working, still touring. And we did play Madison. Madison, we played, actually, unfortunately, the night that, who was it? Who was the soul singer who died in a...
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding, yeah. So we were playing the night that happened.
Wow.
For Otis, so we were, you know, we loved him. We loved his work, and so it was kind of a broken-hearted visit to Madison.
That's a piece of Madison history, right?
No doubt. Robert, being from Chicago, I love going down to Chicago. I love eating pizzas and beef. What's your favorite go-to pizza place in Chicago?
I can't remember. I don't really eat pizza very much anymore. That's why I can still do this.
What about the local scene back when you guys were just starting out in Chicago? What was it like getting gigs in Chicago at that time and getting the word out about the band?
Well, I think we were lucky in that. Well, Chicago is a very music oriented society. There are a lot of places to play, but I think just the sheer reputation that we had already started, that, you know, we were a big band. We were playing a lot of cover stuff with the horns, and you know, the club owners loved it because it would pack people in, and it was, you know, for us it was a great venue because we could try stuff, you know, and we were probably playing, you know, 4 or 5 sets per night, so it gave us a lot of practice time.
Wow. Now, I read that 25 or 624 was actually about what time it was. Tell us a little bit about this song and how it came to be. We just heard it.
Okay. Well, it's really not that exciting of a story, but I'll tell you what it was. So we were already in California. I was crashing with a group of people who had come from Chicago to L.A. and where I was crashing was just up the street from the Whiskey A Go Go on Sunset Strip. Mm-hmm. So we were playing sets, and then there was one night when I came up, it was very late, and the house I was staying in had a piano, and the piano was overlooking all of L.A. From a very high hill, and I just started fooling around with some chords, and I couldn't think of anything to write about. I had the music thing down, but I looked across the room where the piano was, and there was sort of a grandmother's clock on the wall, and I could barely. It was really, really late, and it was really dark. I just looked across the room, and I just was looking, and I saw that the time was 25 minutes or 26 minutes to 4 a.m. So I just threw those lyrics down and built a song around the idea of what I went through emotionally and musically in creating a song. And I had no idea it would remain. That would be the lyrics of that song forever. But I just, I brought it to the next day. I brought it to the rehearsal, and I said, "Hey, check this out," and everybody loved it. The rest is history, as they say.
That is a great backstory. Well, ironically, my wife found a documentary movie about Chicago out there. It's called The Last Band on Stage, and it made her a new fan of the band. On March 14, 2020, Chicago is the last band playing in the U.S. as COVID lockdowns begin, and The Last Band on Stage tells the incredible story of how the 55-year-old band survived a pandemic that stopped the world in its tracks. Tell us a little bit about being in The Last Band on Stage.
Well, everybody that I know in the music world, and us, we were all experiencing something that we had never experienced before. We didn't know that. We didn't even think that we wouldn't be able to perform. And not only that, we didn't think that we wouldn't be able to because our band, our guys live all over the place. So there was no way that we could actually continue to work together. And nobody really kind of expected that to be a little side thing for the pandemic, which was and is a very serious development in the modern world. So basically, I just went and did what I do. I went home, and within a couple of days, I looked at my piano and I went over and I just started playing it. And I ended up writing most of the songs that are on the most recent album, Born for This Moment. But I worked with my co-writers using file sharing on computer, and I basically did everything on all the songs at home. Later on, mixed it, but it was just a completely foreign and unusual way to work, and really an unusual way to maintain a band.
Well, tell us a little bit about that album, Born for This Moment.
Well, what specifically would you like to know?
I mean it's... Well, is it written about times from the lockdowns, or were these themes that you had already had for some time, and you were just kind of putting it down with your spare time?
It really what I was doing. I hadn't really been using my piano at home for a very long time. Fortunately we've been very, very busy for years, and playing 120 dates, traveling, to Europe, to Asia, South America. So, when I was home, I didn't really want to play the piano. I wanted to chill. But as it turned out, I started playing again. I began to kind of rediscover ideas I had that weren't yet songs. I've always been very organized with my songwriting. I'm basically a songwriter. I mean, I'm lucky. I play in a band, but I was just started going through my file folders and pulling out things that weren't finished or that I didn't think were good enough to finish, and I just kind of rebuilt a lot of song ideas. I called a couple people that I liked working with, couple guys from Chicago, and it was a very different experience. But for me as a writer, it was a very fertile experience. I had a lot of time. It was just my wife and myself, and our kids are all spread out, so we didn't really get to see them for a long time. So anyway, it turned out to be, as far as a creative part of my life, very fertile.
Interesting story. Chicago is coming through Wisconsin on May 9th at the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee and May 10th at the La Crosse Center. Chicago features several original members and has the longest running horn section in rock and roll. Tell us a little bit about the band you're bringing on tour.
Well, Lee Loughnane, Jimmy Pankow, and myself are the original founding members of the band. We're playing, our percussionists have been with us for at least a couple of decades. Really, Walfredo de los Reyes and Ramon Islas, both probably first call percussionists. They've been on more records and on more tours than I have. They've played with everybody, and they love the idea of joining with Chicago, and that's the thing that we've noticed, that as we bring new players into the band, it's something that we really don't think about, but very often players that have come into the band, like there's a guitarist who worshiped Terry Kath, and so we have a guy in the band who knows and understands and can do Terry Kath stuff if necessary.
Well, that is a great story. I can't wait to see the band. Robert, thank you so much for chatting with us on Max Inc. Radio. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
And let's hear another classic from your catalog. This is Saturday at the Park. And can you tell us anything about this song before we listen?
Oh, it's just a song that was a result of some video that I shot when we were recording, I don't know which album, probably the fifth album. We were recording in New York, and I shot some video of what was going on in Central Park during the summer, and so I basically just wrote a song and used the lyrics describing what I was looking at in the film. So that was Saturday in the Park.
And here's that song right now, Saturday in the Park. It's Chicago on Max Inc. Radio.